I can't hear anything now. So,
Can you hear me now? I think it was me. I think I'm learning Discord a little better every time. Jon, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you now. I
All
just
right.
had to leave and come back.
Okay.
We're good
Okay.
now. We're good.
We're all good. Thank you, everyone, for your patience and for joining this session today. I'm Maya from the NextWork team, and today we are going behind the scenes and we're going to meet Jon. And he's someone whose fingerprints are all over NextWork. If you've experienced the projects, you've experienced his design. Jon, thanks so much for joining us. Can you start off a little by telling a quick intro of yourself and how you got to NextWork?
Yeah. Hey everyone, John here. Yeah, I'm pretty much like the longest standing team member at NextWork, bar Amber, who founded NextWork. So yeah, joined at day dot really. Have been here for 2.5 years, maybe a bit longer now, and have basically built this product from inception. So it's gone through multiple iterations, which I'm sure we'll dive deeper into. But yeah, basically, I'm the sort of lead designer here, holding down all things visual and interactive at NextWork. So building out the experience and anything that's visually related to the whole experience. Probably been behind it. So yeah, it's nice to be here.
That's awesome, Jon. Can you, for someone who may not know what a product designer is or what a designer is, what does that mean? Because sometimes that sounds abstract.
Mm. I guess most people think designers are just they make things look pretty, which is one aspect to design. But design as a whole is quite vague because it can fall under many different umbrellas. My particular role as a digital product designer makes it more
Mm,
sort of like concrete on what I actually do. But in terms of like design at NextWork as a whole, like I sort of swing between the pendulum of like product design, which is interaction design, like any sort of piece of software that you can interact with. That would be what would be considered my primary role as a product designer, versus the other side of the pendulum, which is more visual design and branding design, which would be more, say, like the marketing collateral or materials that are used to market the product or service, or like have some sort of like emotional visual identity that is unique to NextWork as a whole. Like Maya's background on this call, for example, that would be more visual design and branding versus like this Discord platform that we're talking on right now is more like the efforts of a product designer that have like articulated a framework or scaffolding and then visual design to make this thing come to life and be usable and functional. So yeah, that's yeah, I guess a brief description on design as a whole and sort of what I do at NextWork.
yeah, I think that that overview captures like a very comprehensive aspect to it.
Mm.
It would be nice to know how an idea evolves into something in production. Can you walk us through an
Um,
example of
yeah,
something,
yeah, I guess,
an
yeah,
inception to production? Yeah.
yeah. I guess it's in not any way, shape, or form like linear. It's way messier than people think.
Yeah.
um, but like, yeah, more sort of looking at it from that initial pain point from like an end user's perspective, which is not a tangible design per se, but it's more like here's a problem that's or like pain point that needs to be solved for like students or people using the platform, and then sort of reverse engineer from there, is like how most sort of, I guess, work that comes my way gets put into a queue of work to do, is like stemming from issues that is arising from people's discomfort, or like, I don't understand how this works, or this isn't working as intended. It's causing some sort of pain or friction, and then we're like
Mhm.
looking back from that versus like, here's a big list of things for us to do, and we're just going to do it one by one and then get it over the line and the job's done. But it doesn't really work like that in product design. It's very much an iterative process that you go through these iteration cycles over and over again to finesse and refine. So I guess in short, my like process is very, very messy, and it always takes on different shapes and forms in every piece of work that I do. And in the age of AI, like that process has been radically changed and is almost inverted at this stage from how I traditionally used to do it even 24 months ago.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to that part of how your role has evolved, especially with
Mm.
AI. But before we get to that, I'm curious, did you have any aha moments or any like favorite designs that you're really proud of or really like, wow, that's I'm glad we did that. It's about time. Or anything like that.
Like in the new live docs feature, which just went out. Yeah, I think that's been a really exciting one to work on, because obviously the first inception of that, where we had like PDF creation, which was great, but after time to think about that solution over the course of 12 months, really like thinking of more innovative ways that sort of like whole like project to documentation flow can be much more intuitive and more streamlined, has been sort of in the works, and goes back to your previous point around like how do ideas come to fruition. Internally there's been a lot of discussion back and forth around like how we could finesse and iterate on that idea. So to see all of those conversations start to come together into multiple cycles of like conceptual ideation on how it could potentially work, and bring value and solve like the pain points around like going from something static that is quite rigid by design. It's not like like a fluid piece of code that can be altered and changed at any point in time. um, that was really cool to see that go out in like the past week or so. So like 2 weeks ago, I think it went out. So that was the effort of months and months of like ideas and like just conceptualization taking place under the hood, and experimentation and prototyping and stuff as well. So that's something I'm pretty proud that's now out in the wild. And I, again, even with that, I now have new ideas and like layers that can be added on top of that that will make it even more powerful, in the near future. So yeah.
That's such a good shout, John. I think the learners in the audience right now, they've either seen, they joined NextWork at different points. And so some have seen the live docs as, like they've seen NextWork after live docs was like a normal part of our product. But they've also seen like the before, when it was just a PDF, before the live URL. Um, so it's really cool to know the different that it took months and months and months.
Mm, yeah.
How do you navigate around that mess, that circular, going back and forth?
Um, I guess very calmly, but equally like, because I say calmly because like a lot of my ideas get shot down, or they're like
Mhm.
they pivot or they change. So just having to like free myself, like separate ego from idea, and then just like let the ideas flow and run, and then like see where it takes you, because you don't know until you start building things. Or playing or prototyping with things, where it's going to take you. So I guess that's like for me the driver which keeps the engine churning and like the creative juices flowing. I guess is just like constantly just like trying to refine and polish an idea is the fun part, and the whole like enjoy the process as well as like the destination, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, John. I think I hear it so much, being so involved in the community that, learners get stuck sometimes.
Mm.
And like, how do you get unstuck is kind of like I can draw parallels from what you're saying, where you just
Yeah,
have to enjoy the journey and
yeah.
not get too
I think
attached
just
to.
yeah, yeah, and just bring a playful mindset and like embrace failure because like nothing's perfect, and like you may as well just have fun, even though if the things do break or they don't work out as intended. That's actually where the learning usually happens. So like no doubt you're going to hit those points and or those snags in the road at some point in time, which everyone generally does when it, especially when they're trying something new, or in my
Mm,
case, I'm designing a new feature. I'm like, I don't know where and what form this is going to take shape. So I just have
yeah.
to like embrace that the path will naturally unfold as I go. And the only way for that to happen is just to get started and get into it. Even if some days I feel unmotivated, I'm a bit tired or whatever, it's just like let's just start, and then once you've started, usually like things just start to happen, which is cool.
Yeah. It's really useful to hear that. I think sometimes learners even like talk about feeling out of their depth. Have you ever experienced that?
All the time. Yeah, yeah, like always just trying out new things, and also like I guess when you're like at the moment, I guess a good example of is just like prototyping in code, and you're like trying out ideas that may or may not work, and like maybe you share that with your engineering buddies and they're like, what is this? But it's just embracing the fail fast fail forward mentality, and then like happy accidents could come from it, or whatever it might be. So but
Mm,
yeah, I always, I guess, if I just rewind a little bit, like when I first got into my career and even pivoted from a digital designer into a product designer, I messaged like a friend and I was like, how do I get into pivot from being more of like a brand and marketing sort of designer into more like UI UX product design with like that. She's like, oh, you just change your title and then you fake it till you make it. So that's exactly what I did. And yeah, and then I had interviews and stuff lined up, and I was like, cool, let's go.
that is so powerful, John.
Yeah,
I mean, I think a lot of our learners and community can probably relate to that because they're always trying to pivot,
yeah,
find a new career, trying to find a new role,
yeah.
and yeah, fake it till you
Yeah.
make it, or believe it until you become it. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. You just got to trust that universe will provide, and if you align your perspective to that sort of like vision or goal of what you want to achieve, like things just start to happen. Yeah, and it's just like having the confidence that it'll just things will take place if you just put your mind to it and be determined. So yeah, universe provides. I say that a lot, but I strongly believe in it.
Yeah, and I also like the other piece that you mentioned, fail fast and fail forward.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you
That's like
elaborate?
a that's again just like embracing failure. So that can be applied for like I always apply it to designs where I'm like I come up with one conceptual design and it sucks. And then I'm just like, cool, I'm just gonna make a new one. So like you just like get the repetitions or the reps of like just producing a bunch of work to see what happens. And then that way you can like go away from the fear of like I need to finesse this one single thing to make it perfect. To I now have like a range of stuff where I can like compare them with each other, and then I have like a more holistic view of like what's possible here versus being like stuck with just one thing. So just yeah, like the going through the iteration cycles feeds into that sort of fail fast as well. It's just like you just need to like go through those motions to really uncover the depths of what you're trying to achieve. So I just always try apply that to like any sort of problem I'm working on. Really, is just like and like failing is not a bad thing. It's just a learning opportunity.
Love it. Love it. I think that's something that, I mean, that's almost like the big value that we carry at NextWork, especially because we're a learning platform, that
Mm,
you have to be comfortable failing and making mistakes because that's how you
yeah,
learn and that's how you
exactly.
grow.
Yeah. And it's not a scary thing. It's not the end of the world. It's like it's where the good stuff lives.
There's some fun questions and comments happening in the chat, and I think Roy has asked a question that we all have talked about in the team, and we've all been thinking about it. The dark mode. When are we bringing dark mode? And when is that happening?
Yeah,
Roy says his eyes are killing me as a night
yeah,
owl.
yeah, yeah. The funny thing is the first version of the app was in dark mode by default. Nat will remember that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember. I haven't seen that work, but I've heard the lores of
Yeah,
NextWork that it
yeah,
started with dark mode, and then what
yeah.
happened? Could you tell me? I don't know.
I think we pivoted because of the same feedback. The dark mode, the contrast is too strong, so I need light. But I do agree that it's a relatively easy thing for us to think about implementing. It just hasn't been queued into the backlog and high priorities. But yeah, it is definitely something we all want, Roy. We all want it to come.
And to Roy's point, we're always listening to you guys. We want to know what the features are. So put it up in the project product features, and keep voting. Tell us that you really, really, really want it, and we're
Yeah,
listening. We're listening.
we are,
You know,
we are.
it's hard to please everyone. So having like the options is also a good thing.
Mm,
Um, like the
yeah.
themes that we have in the live documentation, the light mode, the dark mode, and the fun mode. Can you talk a little bit about the fun mode? How did that come
Yeah.
up?
Um, I think the first iteration of fun mode that we did do was not even our design per se. It was sort of taken from somewhere else. So, and it was very quite bold. So I was thinking of like how we can blend a mixture of like elegant classiness with like sort of fun poppy colors. But yeah, if you look closely at the gradient pattern that's used there, it's sort of like a abstract representation of a pathway. Sort of has like a swiggly pathway through it, and like our logo, for example, the NextWork logo is basically different pathways converging together. Which yeah, there it is up there. Yeah, so those lines are representations of different pathways, and like each individual student or anyone learning on NextWork is taking their own unique pathway towards like whatever goal they're looking to achieve. Sometimes those are unified with others, sometimes those are completely different. So just taking that sort of idea and trying to integrate that into the fun mode was the goal and the direction. But yeah, we're looking to bring out more sort of like personalization or like ways we can introduce even more different types of theming and stuff in the future. So this was the first pass. Yeah, and like I said before, iteration cycles is the aim of the game, where we're just like building layers upon layers over time.
Yeah. Start small and then start adding.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. John, let's talk a little bit about AI. You are the
Let's
king of
go.
AI in the team. You're the one introducing us to the latest and greatest tools, keeping us
Yeah.
always up to date. And I think it's a big part of how we all work and how we're all getting more effective at what we do.
Hmm. Yeah.
Can you
Where
tell us
where do we
about,
start?
yeah, tell us a little bit about how AI helps you today?
Yeah, cool. I can probably rewind to when I first got into it last year. Well, was it last? Yeah, I think start of last year or whatever. Where I started to obviously use the chatbot type functionality straight out of the gate, and then was like, cool, this is great, but quickly realized that I could curate these chatbots for instances of like projects or problems that I would like to just hone, like be an expert in that contained environment, or have some guardrails around what we actually talk about and advice we do. So I use that to create a whole bunch of advisors, which like my product design advisor I use on a daily basis, where basically I've provided it with a whole bunch of context that is relevant to product design best practice, like all of the great books I've read over the years. I've like synthesized all of the findings and the core concepts from that to have those readily available. So anytime I engage with the AI, these advisors I have now coined basically my collaboration partners. So being the only designer on the team, like I used to be at a company where there were 17 designers, so I could riff with designers and creatives all day. I obviously don't have that luxury at NextWork where it's just me. So I was like, cool, this is a cool opportunity for me to basically architect this collaboration partner and have someone who I can critique my work or ask design questions with, or like come up with ideas. And that's been, yeah, super successful. I've used that, like I use it all the time still, and it's like a year and a half later, and that's like an eternity in AI terms. But it's been really cool to watch the growth of like those platforms of which houses those advisors and collaborators grow as well. And I'm speaking exclusively to Claude and Claude Desktop app. Yeah, I'm more in the Anthropic camp than the OpenAI ChatGPT camp, but yeah, that was a conscious decision because right at the beginning, I learned from social media and peers that the quality of the code output was far greater than OpenAI and ChatGPT, and I was like, cool, well, I'll probably use it for like code output too, as well as like doing chatbot conversations and stuff. So yeah, that was the starting point, and then I guess from there, the advent of like realizing that the output of code and quality of the code was starting to get very, very good. So like I think October last year, or maybe even before that, when Cursor was starting to really take off, which is the IDE coding platform, I quickly realized that, wow, I can make code prototypes for my designs in this like really, really fast. So I just really experimented and road tested, failed a whole lot. Like, yeah, Nat can probably attest to of like trying to bring code prototypes to our like fortnightly design set critique sessions, and I was like couldn't get it over the line for a while, and then finally got them there when I was like confident enough that they'd actually like run and work. So that was just again like me being like prepared to fail, prepared to like but still give it a crack, because I was like, this is the future of prototyping and product design. And I was proven correct. And like now a lot of designers are playing catch up, and a lot of people have come to me on advice on how to do this over the past like 6 months or so, including my old boss at the design agency I was working at. I've been basically teaching him all year how to use this. So yeah, that's been like probably the biggest unlock for me from like my day-to-day like primary role at NextWork is building product and doing product design. So unlocking the capabilities of like being able to build and like prototype feature ideas, or like how the product's used in a very quick manner that can be like handed to engineers in the language that they speak, which is code, not Figma prototypes, was a huge unlock.
Yeah.
So now I guess that stemming from that like realization and being in these sort of like coding tools all the time has unlocked even more sort of stuff as well. So it's not just around code, it's around all the other different types of applications, or like tools you can build yourself, or like research you can run yourself, like the way you can synthesize data inside of these tools. There's really like limitless possibility on what you can do at the moment, especially with AI agents and orchestrating like swarms of agents, etc. It really is limitless, and I keep saying like the only cap at the moment is like how creative can you get, like how big are your ideas, because like anyone can prompt an AI, but like no one can like prompt like being creative or like connecting ideas and patterns and stuff. So I've got millions of them that I'm always just like trying and testing out. And that's probably, yeah, like where I'm currently at with AI is just seeing so much possibility on like what you can, how much leverage you can have at the moment, and how you can traverse different areas to like try out ideas. There's no real like barrier to entry now to other disciplines, in my opinion.
Yeah. Was it overwhelming when you started with exploring AI tools and even keeping up with all the upcoming tools? There's always so much that we're listening to. How
Yeah.
do you process that? How do you filter through it? How do you keep up?
I can't keep up. I was even just talking to my colleague before about how I want to build a tool for myself to keep up because I can't keep up. There's too many YouTube videos coming out on the daily. Like even if I use my scraping tools to summarize them, I still can't keep up. So, but I think, yeah, the right videos always seem to land at the right time. It's the universe provides moment once again. And I'm just always like, yeah, following creators on YouTube, and I think X and Twitter is like my main source of inspiration to keeping up with stuff. Because that's usually where most thing hits first. So always just trying to like filter that way, and then but at the end of the day, it is moving at such a pace that it's really impossible to keep up with everything. So you just, for me, I just am honing in on the particular tools that are going to be helpful for like my professional skill set, and then obviously like side projects as well. I'm always curious to see what's like running in that realm and what like tooling or ideas is happening there. But I have a pretty curious mind, so I'm always like looking at random like tangents as well and seeing like different ways and applications that it's being used. So yeah, it really is. Yeah, I'll just summarize by saying it's impossible to keep up.
I do have a question to follow up with that, but there's a very interesting question that Nat has asked in the chat that I'd like to ask you as well. What's
Yeah,
an AI tool you think is underrated versus an AI tool that you think is overrated?
interesting question.
Yeah.
Um,
Nat?
yeah, I guess if I'm to think of my own tool sets, the ones I think that are still underrated is I'll give two. I think Whisperflow voice to text. I think that's still underrated, because just the velocity in which you can get your ideas, express your ideas to these AI models, whatever tool you're using. Like using voice to text is such a faster way to articulate your ideas than typing it out. And especially for like me, if I'm like in the afternoon and it's Friday and I'm like hand typing into cursor or like the terminal on like ideas that I'm trying, or just like finesse that I'm trying to do, that's cognitively draining and takes a lot of effort. And I think just voice to text, populating that text box for me is just like is magical and a game changer. And I don't think it has as much credit as it deserves.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you've introduced the entire team to Whisper AI, and we're all so grateful to you for that.
Overrated. I don't know, maybe OpenAI, ChatGPT. Yeah, I think they constantly like claim to have a better experience than Claude and Anthropic, but I disagree. I think that Claude and Anthropic are the clear leaders in using a general purpose AI professionally. They're just dominating. um, yeah, let's leave it at
Yeah,
that before I get hate in the thread.
yeah, we do see some Claude fans in the chat and in the audience as well. So, yeah, seems
Nice.
like you're not alone. John, anything surprising you that when you look back 5, 10 years from uh, where you are now, about what you do today, especially with AI in the mix?
Yeah, I guess everything was a lot more manual. If 5 to 10 years ago is a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like I've
Five.
already
Okay.
cycled 5 years. Yeah. So I guess 5 years ago, I was very much still religiously using Figma as my tool of choice. Um, and yeah, using like a lot of whiteboarding tools to map things out, map flows out, like really map out like how this piece of software is going to work before you start to design each screen of that flow or process, and then you'd hand that off to an engineer for them to build it. Like the these days, it's in, like I was saying earlier, it's in complete reverse now. I literally start in code and just build out that prototype in code, and then reverse engineer that to design those individual frames or screens at the end when I just need to visually polish the design or make sure that every component or piece of design, visual design work on that page looks nice and works. So like the whole pretty picture analogy. But most of product design is thinking more around functionality and how this works, not only for an end user, but also like how does this strategically tie into the business goals and objectives as well, and like yeah, all of the hidden non-tangible things that are not usually top of mind. So there's like a lot of like thinking in tandem, I guess, of like yeah, not only UI, UX, like visual design and user psychology, but also like business strategy and stuff as well, all happening simultaneously.
Yeah,
So that's where I
I
feel we're at the moment. I've completely inverted my process. um,
I have to say, John, like it's something I really admire about you, and I think everyone here should know how knowledgeable and well versed you are in all the design principles, and how you are constantly upskilling yourself with the AI tools and making sure that you are giving the best you can, always on top of the of your game, and giving the best designer we could possibly even imagine for NextWork.
well, thank you.
Roy has a really cool question. He's asking about the ask button and the ask aspects of it, how it has been so helpful. And
No,
it makes it even, you can elaborate on that. And I'm also, I want to ask, is there a product decision or a feature in NextWork that you're really proud of? That like
yeah,
something maybe even minor, like the location of a button, or all the
yeah,
things that goes into it. Is there
yeah.
something that
Do we
you're
want to
so
talk about the ask panel specifically, or just any
sure?
feature?
Yeah, let's talk about the ask panel.
Yeah, I guess the Ask panel, like the first implementation of that, in my opinion, was crap. It sucked, and I designed it. But we were moving in a way that was like we just want to get these ideas over the line and also test it to see if they work. So it was really cool to come back and revisit that with a bit more like emphasis on how this can actually like elevate the learning experience. So like something you could use as a companion, or like almost like a tool in a toolbox that you can like draw on at any time, and have that toolbox available when you that tool in the toolbox available when you need it to like in the case of the ask panel, which is like really understanding concepts that might be tripping you up, or like you're you're stuck, you really are stuck and you don't know what to do here. So it was cool to like come back and revisit that and actually make it very like on par with like any sort of like chatbot type application, Claude, ChatGPT, etc., but more fine-tuned and contextual to NextWorks projects as a whole. So it was cool to like not only bring it up to the standards as you'd expect from any of the chatbots, but how do we like contextually integrate the NextWorks projects into the drawer itself. So it's something that you really like when you're in that sort of focused learning state, you're like, wow, this is actually really helping me like conceptually understand these concepts in this particular project over time. And then this will continue to compound over time. The more projects you do, then the more knowledge and skills that you're learning. So it's like really cool to see that it's like taking the form that it has, and a lot of people have seem to be resonating with how it works now versus the very first implementation, which fell flat on its face, in my opinion.
I love that. I love how I don't know what the word is, vulnerable, authentic, like just saying, "Hey, I designed this and it was crap."
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was. Yeah. But again, like I say, yeah. At the end of the day, it's just an idea, and I push it out, and I'm not my idea, and we'll just see if it goes for it or not. But yeah, and if it doesn't, we fail forward and we try again.
Yeah. John, like I cannot tell you how much I learn from you every day. And every time you say I'm not the product, like there's this detachment to make sure that you don't take things personally, especially when you present your design to the whole team and we are running through that prototype, giving feedback on, oh, I don't know if this should be here, this should be here, and you just accept that, you receive it, and you run with it.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think
There's
that's
another analogy that I love to say is like we're building sandcastles here because we're just trying to articulate ideas very, very quickly. A lot of them will get washed away in favor of a new one. So I always just remind myself that the idea is a sandcastle that may turn into cement or it may get washed away.
So, John, you never get attached to your idea. Like this is the way it should be. Nothing like that. Like, or is there like a deliberate, intentional decision to say, no,
Yeah.
it's not my project. It's
I think sometimes I'll push back if it violates like principles that I know are best practice. Would be probably the one time where we're like, hold on a second. But most of the time, I'm happy to just like let the fluidity flow in conversation or critique as well. Because I think that's where again, like you just let things run, you let things sort of iterate, whether that be through visual design or conversation, and then you don't know where it's going to take you, which is cool. And that's why, like, internally, we love these like riffing sessions or chair swiveling sessions where, like, I've done with Amber over the years, where we'll just spin around or she'll spin around and be like, hey, I've got this idea. And then we'll just start going off really left field conversation about something, but it really starts to paint these mental pictures of like what the future could look like, what these ideas or these features could look like, or what the world could look like, or like how learning this like how learning could look like in a different manner. Like so I really just like try to lean in as much as I can when those types of situations happen to like just let it be fluid, let it flow, and yeah, just really just run with it. Which I think that's where like creativity lives.
chair swivel sessions. I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
Literally.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I know, literally, right? And actually, for the learners, a little glimpse into what happens in the NextWork arena, as we like to call it. Um, if Amber is in the middle, John's on her one side, and I'm on the other side. And for her, it's very intentional. It's by choice. And she says, the learners are the most important thing in the world, like the user. These are the people using the product, and then there's John. This is the design. Like this is what they're experiencing. Also very, 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 very important. And so Amber needs to be able to swivel to either way to know what's at
Yeah.
any given point.
Yeah, yeah, it is good. It is good. Uh,
John, you have been, you like you've mentioned, like early on in the session, you were the first hire, if not one of the first. And so you've seen
I was the
NextWork.
first full-time hire. Yeah. I think there's a
You've
few contractors
seen,
before me, but yeah.
so you've seen it. You've seen the whole NextWork journey, and you've seen
Mm.
it evolve over the years. Maximus is the OG.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think I've been here just over 2.5 years now, maybe a bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, how do you process everything that, like, it's just been 2 years, but it's been massive growth.
Yeah, there's been a lot of different chapters already. And it's been cool to, yeah, I guess I joined like I was very like saw aligned with the mission and could see the trajectory of what we could do here. And I just from like a macro perspective know that like traditional education models are not great, and they are changing, and this was pre-AI as well. So my thoughts have changed massively since AI has come into the mix.
Mm.
But yeah, also just like my previous job, I was working at a product design agency, which was full stack. We did everything in house for venture startups from inception. So like from basically an idea on a tablecloth to building it out. So I was already in that world. So taking the early bet to join with Amber was like my risk tolerance is quite high. So I was just like, cool, like I've already been in the startup land space in these like venture incubator type agency, which is like one of the biggest in Australasia, across New Zealand and Australia, which is really cool. So it wasn't like a huge like glaring jump to come into something like an early stage startup is like higher, yeah, on day dot basically. Like I think I joined before Amber even had like the fundraising to start. So it was a huge gamble to join, but I'm glad I did, and I've since then just seen multiple chapters and iterations of NextWork and watch it grow from strength to strength. Which has been really cool. It's been cool to see like the fruits of your labor sort of like pay off over time.
Yeah. Do you have a vague memory of how many learners, how many users were using, were subscribed to NextWork, were using NextWork, were aware of NextWork at that time when you joined?
At the start, yeah. I think there's only 90 students, was our
90.
first like yeah, like the first cohort that we were building towards, was yeah, I think it was just around 90 students we got on board for the first, and it was like courses that ran over the summer. So the model was actually like quite different to the individual projects that we have now. They were still very much like a course track style type idea, and it ran over like the course of the summer period, which was like 12 weeks or something. But I think we had 90 people signed up, and that was yeah, that was it. And we built out the first version of the product for not the 90 people, and it sucked. It wasn't great. Yeah, and but it was a good like test run to like figure out what's actually of value and what's going to provide value to individual learners. So by doing that sort of crash course test run, I was very quickly able to wrap my head around what's actually required here to like make it more of an experience that's going to be helpful in the long run. Um, so yeah, that was chapter one.
That is so wild, John, from 90 to where we are. It's
Yeah,
uh, incredible. And so you've really seen it evolve.
yeah, it's been crazy.
Derek has a excellent, great question that I'm going to ask. Have you ever pitched an idea um, and that you knew was a bad idea, but you had to figure out how to make it work? Have you ever been pitched an idea or design that you weren't sure, had your doubts? I think
You
I'm not
you
sure if I
mean
have it.
from someone else or from myself?
Maybe from the team.
I
No,
pitched bad.
so
uh,
do you tell about the terrible ideas thread that we have going on, John?
yeah, yeah, we've got a channel that in our team that where you can pitch any idea, and it's called Terrible Ideas intentionally, so it like removes the barrier of like being shameful of sharing something because you think you might get shot down. Um, I can't think of any particular instance of like a bad idea that I've shared per se. Most of my ideas are great. um, yeah, no, I can't think of anything. I guess like for me, a lot of like times maybe on pitch designs from like team members or whatever it might be, it's more like a coaching opportunity for myself on like how I can like potentially like upskill and help like them understand like maybe the principles of design or how design works or whatever, because I obviously have that knowledge and experience, but especially in this like AI vibe coding arena and era, like a lot of people are just like prompting, building stuff and like wanting it to look great, but they can't really figure out how to do it and why. I feel that that's where we're currently at. So I always sort of take those opportunities whenever there's any sort of maybe design ideas from other people who aren't designers to like treat it as like a learning opportunity. And obviously, when you teach someone a skill or like insights from your own experience, you also learn yourself and you strengthen your ideas around that. So I always just, yeah, take any type of opportunity like that, good or bad. It's just like, how can we spin this positively so each of us get benefit from it?
I like that. Yeah, we really do encourage terrible ideas, and John is just phenomenal at like even the ideas he comes up with. I mean, I don't think because he's so like design principles oriented. Like he knows this is the foundation. This is my values in design. I'm very
Yeah,
clear.
design thinking applied to everything. Yeah, yeah, so
Yeah.
true.
Has there been a need to deviate from the principles, or it's
I think
just been?
you just it's contextual really. You can like I think I was explaining to Maximus the other day, there are design rules and principles, but you can like once you understand the principles and rules, you can deviate or break the rules if you want. Like
Mm,
yeah, who's to say you can't like be creative? Just like you can bend the rules in your favor,
mm,
which is like I guess like it could be applied to any line of thinking or skill. Like once you know the principles, then you can start to figure out ways of how I could not only bend this rule or principle, or how could I actually take this and remix it with some other concept, and then that's where the creativity sort of like the intersection of two ideas being remixed together is when something new is spawned. So yeah, always thinking around like there's always ways things can be remixed into like quite novel thought patterns or artifacts or outcomes.
mm. And these are the principles that you feed into AI too, right? To for your context engineering.
Yeah. So take my product design advisor that I was talking about earlier, like those, it's fed with a whole bunch of like laws of UX, like principles that are pretty much like looked at by most professional designers around the world, especially product designers around like UX psychology or like user experience principles that have been like tried and tested or like very thoroughly researched and like are undoubtedly true and like have consensus from most participants in the product design space. So like I would take those as a reference point to contextually bind into my advisor or collaborator AI partner. So anytime I'm having like a conversation or a collaboration session with that advisor, it can constantly remind me of those principles, resurface them, and make sure that like we're operating within this framework that is tried and tested. And that I guess that can be applied to any sort of vertical or industry because all verticals and industries have like guiding principles or foundations on what good looks like.
Yeah, it's really powerful to learn from you, John, and how you work with the tools and the principles, and how very clearly you have a solid foundation and you're always building on it. I think
Mm.
one question that I wanted to ask you that I'm still in awe of, and I'm still trying to extract this secret from you. So maybe today's the day. But you wear a lot of hats, and you're a family man, and you're a designer for a small team with so many users, and you are constantly up to date with your tools and technologies. How do you balance it all?
Plus time management.
Yeah, tell me more. Like, do you set amount of time to upskill to learn per week? What does that look like?
I don't particularly like lock in tutorial time. I used to do that back in the day. Like I would like exclude, and I've experimented with this over the years. So I like used to do it in the evenings after work. I'd like dedicate like an hour and a half to upskilling, especially earlier in my career where I was like, I don't know, in the design field, there's like something known as crossing the chasm. Like the first couple of years that you're a designer, you suck because you have good taste, but your execution with on the skills is like it's not there. And it only you only get that through reps and like doing the putting the repetitions in, producing lots of work, learning from your mistakes and all of that sort of stuff. So I used to do like tutorials in the night, then I switched it to like the 5 a.m. club method, where I do it in the morning before work, where I had more energy. um, and then now I sort of I guess just interplay learning with my day to day anyway. Like while I'm building prototypes using these AI tools, that's almost like a learning experience and professional work all in one, is sort of how I'm like thinking about it now, because I'm like constantly learning on the fly. The pace, the velocity of everything that's coming out is just literally, things are changing almost daily or weekly at the moment. So there's just so much room for experimentation and play that needs to be had alongside doing my work. But the I guess the beauty of it is like these tools are directly influencing my work and vice versa. So I'm just in a constant state of like upskilling, experimentation, play while I produce work. So it's quite a unique time to be in, because usually I'd have to dedicate time outside of work to go and play and do these side projects or whatever it might be. But yeah, still am doing sort of side projects, I guess, in my spare time using these same tools. So that's all feeding into each other. But to summarize, yeah, time management, especially after having kids, is the just building a system around time, and like realizing that like while I have a finite time to like do work, at the time that I'm in the office, I make sure that my output is like really high, and I allocate every minute of those 9 to 5 is allocated and planned out and scheduled accordingly, so I can like make sure I achieve the output that I want to. Because yeah, I don't know who else is on the call as a parent as well, but like having kids is a full-time job in itself. uh,
I love that answer, time management. I think it sounds very simple, but there's a lot of thought that goes behind it, a lot of planning, a
mm,
lot of design,
yeah,
in
tweaking the
that.
system is yeah, the key
Exactly.
to it, I think. Yeah, you're always finessing and refining it to make sure that this works well, and then sometimes it doesn't, but at least there's some sort of anchor to pull you back if things do get out of sync. um, so yeah, I really lean on that time management and like booking calendar events, even for just deep work. Like my morning is booked out, and even though that's not an event, it's just like visualized in my calendar as like this is a chunk of time where I'm focusing solely on output.
Yeah. And I really appreciate how you, kind of intertwine work and play. They're not very different for you. And I love that. I think when work is enjoyable and fun, and it's a place to, um, like learning is playing.
Mm,
Is
yeah,
what I hear
it is.
when you're talking about it. I
Yeah.
think that's such a beautiful metaphor, such a beautiful visual.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the mental stimulation you get from learning, whether even at the hard parts is mentally stimulating. There's a tension point, but then the release of like resolve is like, whoa, that's amazing. It felt amazing, and then it compounds over time, or just like goes into these like learning loops or cycles. Like you're just constantly leveling up over time. Which yeah, so sort of perfectly interplays with our next work and what we're trying to do as well, which is yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's so powerful that how that idea of learning is playing, it can be so relatable to all our next work learners, because you're going to fall, you're going to make mistakes, but if you enjoy that, it's so much more fun. And especially when you're upskilling and you're already in a job that, and you're trying to do something else, making carving out that time and then enjoying that time to
Mm,
play
yeah.
is a beautiful way to think about it.
Mm, definitely. And I think just to build on that, in the age of AI, like the leverage that these tools are giving us is like executing on, like, say, your primary piece of work much faster. So it's actually unlocking time for experimentation and play as well. So it's sort of like a cool time and
Yeah.
place at the moment where it's like not only are you getting stuff done really fast and to a high level of quality, but it's also unlocking time to maybe pursue other things that you didn't have the time to do beforehand. So that's another cool way to look at it.
Yeah, I love that. I wonder if I could, um, restructure my own thinking and being like, oh, I'm not learning, I'm playing, you know?
Yeah. I think it's a good it's a good place to be because it makes you feel probably a bit more calm when you begin versus feeling stressed.
Mm,
Because stress and trying to learn maybe not the best starting point.
I love that. All right, I've got a bit of a rapid round for you, John, but I also see Roy saying time management is a give up on some sleeping, and I'm sure you can relate to that, John, right?
Yeah,
Some people
yeah,
snatch it up.
yeah, having kids, yeah, I can't really choose if I have a good sleep or not. But I definitely do prioritize sleep as well because I think that resting is a strategic tool for longevity. So taking the time to rest and recover and like context switching out of like professional work is also a good thing because it gives your brain time to recharge and also like what's the saying, it's like fire and wire with the neurons, like you want time for those pathways to merge after you've learned new like um concepts, and you need time for that to merge together and fuse, and then you're like, cool, I know this now, I've learned this skill, and then
Mm,
you go again.
yeah. All right. You ready for the rapid round?
I am.
Okay. First thing you open in the morning, email, email, Discord, design tool, notebook. What's the first thing you open in the
uh
morning?
Notebook.
Notebook.
Yeah,
Notebook.
yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, my journal what happened the day before, and then check off the dates, and yeah, just
wow.
start with something physical before I enter the abyss of tabs on the browser.
So between Figma and a notebook and pen, where do you go? Which one do you choose?
First,
Well, no,
like
just
just
generally. Figma or
generally, usually pen and paper. Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Wow. Yeah, I think I have noticed this big sketchbook on your table.
yeah. Just faster to draw things, and like, yeah, that's you don't have to be too precious about it.
Cool. One design tool you couldn't live without.
Cursor. It's not really a design tool, but it's becoming the tool for product design.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting. Um, favorite detail in our next work platform that makes you happy every time you see it.
Mm, probably just the bottom nav bar and the simplicity of it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the toolbar on the bottom.
yeah. So when you open the app and it's just the project in the toolbar, I just was still a big fan of the simplicity of it compared to a lot of other learning applications where there's so many buttons, so many things going on, and it's really
Mm,
taking the opposite approach to that.
mm, interesting. Yeah, I think that's a team favorite too. If you weren't a product designer, what would you think you would be?
DJ. I had this question a few weeks ago actually. It's like it's like what would your dream job be if you could do anything? I was like, definitely DJ.
Amazing. Um,
House music.
yeah,
I used
because
to, I used to DJ drum and bass on vinyl, but now very much house music.
one non design related hobby that makes you better at your job.
Um, hmm. I guess like just being outdoors in nature, whether that be walking, mountain biking through the forest,
Mm.
anything away from the screen is good for my mental health and longevity, I believe. So just reconnecting with nature helps me be better at my job.
I love that. Most overused buzzword in product or AI that secretly annoys you.
Don't know. That's just, I thought this was going to be a different type of buzzword question, which I just thought Claude Code straight away. um, I don't know. Nothing's really erring me at the moment. Most things I find pretty. I get. I know maybe the one thing that does bug me is when like apps or products blatantly state this is AI still, and it's like it's just becoming part of everything anyway. So you don't really need to state that it's AI or powered by AI.
Yeah, because it's so part and parcel of our lives now that
Yeah,
no need to
and
say
it's
the obvious.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Flat white or matcha?
Oh, I used to drink matcha religiously because I lived in Japan for a bit, but probably at the moment religiously drinking flat whites,
Yeah.
which is which is a common coffee type of coffee in New Zealand for the people who don't know.
Yeah, is flat white universally known? I only learned about it after moving to New Zealand, so maybe not. But yeah.
I think it's a
Um,
Kiwi thing, but it's
Kiwi
been
thing.
exported across the world.
Yeah. All right. Ship fast with rough edges or ship slow but polished.
Ship fast with rough edges because you just need to iterate and learn much quickly, like very quickly. And you could spend all day, or you could spend eternity polishing and refining, and nothing ever goes out. And then by that stage, everything's like people have already surpassed you. I think we now live in the age where shipping is drastically increased. Like the velocity of it is so fast now. Anyone can vibe code an app or a product and have it deployed within 30 minutes. So it's yeah, again, I go back to like the power of ideas and creativity being like a driver of like, yeah, how creative can you be? And then obviously looking to refine and polish design. Yeah, ideally at the time, but if you can't, it's much better to just like push ideas out there and see what resonates, and then you can come back to that polish if it's actually a good idea or not.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, ideally ship fast and polished, but if you have to choose
Yeah,
one.
ideally, yeah. Which I feel like it's getting closer and closer to it. But um, yeah. Again, you need to know what polish like looks like. What does like good look like? Do you actually understand the underlying principles of what good? When you talk about polish, are you talking about visual design and polish, and do you fundamentally understand what that means? Because that if you don't, it's very hard to prompt the AI to tell you to polish this for me.
Yeah.
But I think it's getting better. I think like out of the box is going to be fundamentally pretty good, which it's definitely coming. Same with like the code that's generated from the LLMs. Like at the start was pretty rubbish, and then 12 months later, like it's pretty darn good now. I can only imagine in 12 months' time the quality is going to be insane, like yeah, world class. So the same can be said on the design side too.
All right, John, I've got one last question, and I want to make sure that everybody who's listening gets an opportunity to ask their questions before we wrap up. And this is inspired by Maximus, who asked the question in that last time we had a session. So shout out to Maximus. Uh, where do you see NextWork in 10 years?
Being sort of like the go-to provider for the ever-changing skills that is happening in the world. And I don't know what those will be, but there will be a drastic shift in like having to pivot your mindset from being like, I just go to university and get this bit of paper and that should be good for 30 years, to like a new thing has come out like this week and I need to like quickly learn how to use that so I can like apply it to whatever endeavor that I'm in. And I think that NextWork will be the go-to place for that. So you can quickly learn what you need to learn and apply it. And yeah, just continuous become like a lifelong learner essentially is like the mindset shift that I feel is going to be forced onto people because you're going to have to like if you want to be keeping up in any industry or vertical, like things as we're seeing at the moment are drastically changing and that's only going to accelerate as we move forward. So I see NextWork sort of leading the charge in that space in the years to come.
I love that. I love it. I'm so excited for next work. And I think we've got such an amazing team like yourself, John, and we all learn from each other. So much of it, we draw inspiration from each other. And I know joining NextWork has been like one of the best things I've ever done because I get to meet with folks like you, and I get to work and learn from all of you. And you are just an absolute inspiration to the team, especially since you are the OG after Amber. You are,
Nat's not too far behind me.
yeah, not too far, but yeah.
Three
But if
months
there's
apart.
anybody, if there's anybody who's seen NextWork a little more than Nat, and not counting Amber, of course, it's John. So
Yeah, yeah. When I first joined the office we used to work in was probably the size of the desk that I'm sitting at the moment. So it was very, yeah, like it feels like that time was so long ago, but Nat was there for it. It was yeah, it just feels like eons ago now.
epic, right? And so you've seen like that small team, small office space to
Yeah,
what it is today, and now we're moving to Austin, USA.
yeah,
Wild. We're really,
yeah.
really growing.
Yeah, it is really like yeah, like such a transformational pathway then just yeah, like the highs and the lows has been really, really cool and like um yeah, it's just like a really inspirational place to be where not only are we teaching skills and helping like learners like on the call to upskill themselves, but internally we're living that as well. We're upskilling and learning all the time as like this landscape changes on the daily, on the weekly. So it's really cool to like not only be helping build like a platform to help individuals upskill, but we're internally doing that all the time and trying to bring those skills into the NextWork product itself. So it's creating this like really cool flywheel of like internal external dynamics, like nothing that I've sort of worked in or been a part of before, so it's really cool to yeah just be living it.
Epic. So epic. And I think you also represent so much of that, the community in like as someone who's taken big risks, who has pivoted, who's constantly upskilling. I mean, um, you know, as we wrap up the call, any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to share with the audience before we, uh, wrap up the call?
just just keep learning and building and playing. There's so much to learn that we don't even know what's possible. So just continue the journey of like, yeah, upskilling and learning and like talking to others and peers who you think this might benefit because I think this whole phase we're going through globally around like upskilling and like AI being infiltrating almost every industry and vertical possible, this is the best place to start and be to like ease any sort of anxiety around um, AI in general. So you can try flip the script and like think of this as a tool that can empower yourself to yeah, like see what possibilities are out there, and also like start to stretch your imagination around like your creativity and ideas and how they can be empowered by tools like AI or any sort of like well, most software that's coming out now is very much AI related. So it's it just yeah, I'm stoked that you guys are just on the same journey that I'm on as well, which is like seeing the possibilities and the leverage and all of the cool things that are coming to fruition from this whole new paradigm that we've been presented with. So yeah, thanks for being here, and yeah, let's just continue on.
Let's continue on. I love it. Thank you so much, John, for taking us a little behind the scenes of what product design looks like at NextWork, and for being so honest about hard problems, the messiness, coming up with bad designs and still going with it and saying, hey, it was terrible.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's
showing
all
us,
part of the parcel.
yeah, I think you really inspire us in just your vulnerability, your honesty, and just showing us how AI and creativity can work together.
Mm, yeah. I'll just finish on, I believe everyone's a creative at heart, even if they don't have the title of designer. So, yeah, just embrace that sort of like inner child or play, and where that creativity used to live and thrive in your younger years, and just try like rebirth that ambition and just get out there and experiment and play and see what happens.
Mm, I love it, love it, love it. A little note for you from Maximus, how you are the absolute weapon and a big inspiration for him. And I'd like to echo that for myself as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, no, and I learned so much from you guys as well. So, yeah, Maximus is the fuel. He keeps my fire churning as well because he works bloody hard. So it's a it's a good like give and take.
For sure,
Yeah.
we do have a spectacular, extraordinary high performance team at NextWork. Goes without saying.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And I think it just like to build upon that previous idea, it builds on the enthusiasm of like learning so many new things very, very quickly while also building something is like such a very exciting thing to be a part of. So like it's just like the energy is infectious, and hopefully that energy can be sort of like resonate to you guys, learners and students who are using NextWork as well, because that
sure.
fuels the fire internally for us to like continue the momentum of like building cool stuff, and like we're all learning together at the same time, which is really, really special.
Yeah, well said, John. That's so well put. I mean, it's a cycle, right? We get so much inspiration from the learners and how much they love next work, and it just makes us want to keep doing more and giving more. So,
Hmm,
100%.
exactly. Yeah,
You couldn't
yeah,
have said
so
it
true.
better.
Nice.
Thank you so much, John. And thank you, everyone, for listening. If you've used NextWork and you've done the projects, you've experienced John's work, you know what it is. Even if you don't realize that so much of it is John's design and his ideas coming into fruition.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of thought has gone into many things that you touch and play with on NextWork, and that will continue to evolve over time. Because there's always new ideas and new directions coming my way, and I'm inspired almost daily at the moment by everything that's happening. So yeah, it's yeah, just continue riding the wave with us, and yeah, I'm stoked you guys are here.
Yeah. I think if there's any one thing we can take away from everything that you've shared with us, I mean, there's a lot of powerful nuggets that you shared with us, but I think what's really important is to not feel like not be afraid of feeling that you're out of depth. Everyone experiences, but that
Yeah.
feeling is very part of the process, part of the learning process, and it's just
Mm,
to keep going and keep moving.
yeah, exactly. Couldn't have said it better.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. It was absolute pleasure having this session. Take care wherever you are all joining from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and have a great rest of the day.
Nice. Thanks so much, Mara. Thanks everyone for joining. It was great to chat. And yeah, see you for round two sometime soon.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
Nice one.
All right.
Night.
Cheers. Bye.